All right, welcome back to the series on how to create a podcast. I'm really glad that you've made it with me this far because now we've covered a variety of subjects about how to create a podcast cover, how to position yourself right from the start, just even when you're thinking about your show, how to create the positioning so that you're creating the kind of show that helps you accomplish getting better business, getting more attention, connecting with potential clients, creating a show that really helps you build a brand, build awareness, and get your message out there. Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business.
Do you have a product or service that you would like to sell online? Or maybe you've been thinking about it, but you're reserved to do it because you need a website, you need complicated systems, and you need to spend money? Well, I've created a completely free course that teaches you how to use Facebook in a purely organic way. This means no ads and no money are needed. You can use Facebook completely free. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com, opt into my Profit from Social Media course. I'm going to teach you the free methods to using Facebook to make money today. Today, I really want to go over with you on how to do podcast interviews. So we've talked about how to create a podcast, but how do you create a podcast with awesome and amazing interviews that really build you traction and allow you to really interview like a pro, even if you've never interviewed before? I've been interviewing for quite a long time now, and I can tell you that some of my best interviews were right from the very beginning, right from day one. I had a lot of luck recording interviews and meeting some very high level people. And one of the things about that was I just naturally did certain things that made my recordings and made my interviews really awesome. And then later I had to backtrack. After making some mistakes, I had to backtrack and figure out what was I doing and why did those interviews work so well? Why was it that within one of my first interviews, I'm interviewing Dr. Harville Hendrix, not known to a lot of people in the grand scope of things, but the guy's been on Oprah 19 times. He's something like a 5 or 7 time New York Times bestselling author, very well-known person. So in a lot of circles, he's a very, very big name, multi-millionaire, had a big impact on the world. And when I interviewed him, after the interview, he invited me to come meet him, and he offered to give me a scholarship to one of his events. And he pretty much paid for me to come to the event and participate in it. And that was really cool. And now that I look back on that interview and other times that I've looked back on that interview, there's certain things that I did that made him have an excellent experience during our interview. So today I want to cover that. And I want to really help you sound like a pro during your interviews from day one. So one of the first things, if you've listened to the other episode where I talked about recording and how to get great audio quality, make sure that you've listened to that you've taken some notes. If you haven't, I want you to go back to that, because if you're just listening to this to get tips on how to sound like a pro, but you don't know how to get pro quality audio sound, then this stuff isn't going to be the most helpful. Because if you're a guest on someone's show and they have bad audio quality, they have bad recording software, they have a bad microphone, they don't sound professional, then it is more likely than not that the person isn't going to be all that pleased to be on your show. They're not going to be excited to share it. They're not going to be excited to invite you further into their lives. They're not going to look at you like a professional. So make sure you go back and you listen to that episode. If you have already listened to it and you're ready to move forward, then let's just dive in right now. So one of the first things to interviewing like a pro is that we need to make our guests feel comfortable. So if you're bringing a guest onto your podcast, one of the first things that I tell people is the interview and the experience of the interview begins even before the interview starts. Before you even do the interview, people want to have an experience with you. So when you're sending out that message and you're inviting your guest, you really want to craft a special message. That's something that we won't be diving into this course. That's my bread and butter. That's something that I've really taken a lot of time to craft. And it's something that inside the Podcaster's Secret Weapon, you can learn how to go out and get guests, and you can find all my templates that I've used to land people like Jack Canfield, Marianne Williamson, Bas Rutten, you name it, Cal Newport, Jay Papasan. There's a lot of people that I've interviewed that are amazing. And it is because I've used certain templates to create a certain experience, and because I've used certain methods that work amazing. But let's just say that you're having your first guest and you're excited to have this guest, and whether or not you used my template to get them on the show is not what matters right now. Is that you're about to do an interview and you want to create a fantastic experience. You've got the right room, you've got the right microphone, you've got the right software, you've ran a few tests, so you know that you're good to go. So now the next thing is, how do you bring this person onto the show and make them feel great? How do you bring this guest onto your podcast so that they feel really good joining your show? Well, one of the first things that we do on our show is we don't even push record right away. You come on my show and I say, hey, really great to meet you today. I'm really excited that you've decided to join the show. We're really honored to have you here. And then I give a compliment. You know, one of the things about you that I really appreciate is I read your book, insert the name of the book or a YouTube video, but you want to give them some kind of compliment. And when I watched that, I was really impacted. It made a really big difference when I read that book or watched that video. Give them some sort of genuine compliment. They're always going to say thank you and feel really delighted. They're human. That's one of the things I want to say to you, is that regardless of how famous someone is or how accomplished someone is they are human. And so don't be afraid to give them compliments and just treat them like you would somebody who's special. Thank them and give them a compliment and connect with them. And then the next thing that you want to do is let them know that you've got it handled. Hey, I'm really excited that you're here today. I want to let you know how much your work has really impacted me. And, thank you for coming on the show. They're going to respond. Next thing you do is, listen, I'm going to be handling all the recording. I'm going to be handling the editing. So if we ever make any mistakes or slip ups, you or I, whatever happens, don't worry. I can edit out anything. So I want you to feel really relaxed. Regardless of how many interviews people have had, they're always going to feel good when you just let them know there's no pressure. They don't need to perform. They don't need to be perfect. And you've got it. You're in control. Next thing, I like to just check in. Hey, so, we agreed to 20 minutes. I just want to make sure what your hard stop time is. And just ask them real briefly about, what time they need to be off the call, just to make sure, because sometimes interviews go longer than expected. And you want to be really cognizant of their time limit. The last thing that you want to do is you also want to make sure that they've turned off their cell phones or any kind of notifications on their computer, any kind of software that makes noises. So maybe they have an email app on their computer that makes dings. Maybe they have their phone on ring. Maybe they have a dog in the room, whatever it might be. So what I do is I just say, hey, listen, I'm going to be shutting off my phone during the interview. I'm shutting down all my programs that make any kind of noises. And I just want to check with you to make sure you've done the same. We want to get really great audio quality for this interview. So could you make sure to put your phone on silent and shut down any software that will make noises? And they're going to do that. They're going to feel glad, like you are in control and you're helping them get the best audio quality possible, get a great recording. Once you do that, then you can jump in. Okay, great. Now that we're ready to record, I'm going to push record and let's dive in. And that's it. That's it. It doesn't have to be much more complicated than that. You do the whole interview. And then at the end of the interview, give them a compliment again. Hey, listen, it was great to do this interview. And I got some big takeaways from our time together. Again, I just really want to thank you for joining us. They're going to say, yeah, thank you. They might give you a compliment. And one last thing you want to do here is ask them if there's any way that you can bring value to their lives. Listen, I really appreciated having you on the show today. Is there anything I can do to bring some extra value to your life? Can I release this podcast at a certain date for you? Would that help? Is there something that you know about me or some kind of way that I might be able to help you with what you've got going on? just let me know if there's some kind of way that I can support you. Our guests always love this. And on many occasions, it's actually endeared them so much to us that we become friends. So really important that you do this, really important that you make your guests feel great, and that it's not just an interview, that it's something really special, and it's something that you value, and that you value them, you value their time, and you're glad that this interview happened. Now, if you just follow those steps, trust me, you will be a standout interview. You will be somebody that they'll be really glad that they came on your show. It's not complicated stuff. It's pretty simple, but it's the little things that make a big difference. So that's it for today on how to sound like a pro, how to interview like a pro. And if you want more information, you want to really level up, make sure you go and grab the Podcaster's Secret Weapon at thepodcastersecretweapon.com. It's been great to be here with you, and we'll see you on the next episode on how to create a podcast.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
If you'd like to learn a method to create content, to share content across multiple platforms and make sales, then you won't want to miss our next episode with Diane Hochman. And hey, if you're enjoying the show, be sure to rate and review our show, and most importantly, subscribe to the show so you get updates on a regular basis on iTunes.